YouTube. I just wanted to do a quick video, a short video on gratitude and um two. I just wanted to share two experiences I had recently that kind of helped me be a bit more grateful for what I had and even grateful for difficult times. So basically, I was at work the other day, um, and this guy he was going on to lift some like a pack of cement. But when he went down, he couldn't get back up. And he says, "Oh, young man, can you help me out?" I was like, "Yo, sure." Then he looked at me and he says, "Man, I'm so sorry I have to ask you for help." Then I'm like, why would you say that? Like, I'm here to help. That's my job. But he said, when I was younger, and he says, it just happened so quickly. He says, all into my 50s, I was active, but it's like when I hit 60s, I had this big decline. Then the guy just started to give me a whole like little background of himself, and he was saying like when he was a young man, he was so strong, he could do a lot of stuff. Like one time he was on a skateboard and he fell off the skateboard, but he was able to balance on his hands by doing a handstand and like run a little bit on his hands to get back himself into equilibrium. He was saying that's how strong he was and that's how many insane things he was able to do, and like people always telling him that he was capable of these insane things. And he says at the time it didn't mean that much to him, but he says like now that he can do some simple things that he couldn't he used to be able to do, he says wow, he's able to appreciate it more. So that day I was actually having a very stressful day, but then it did show me that I should be grateful for my youth. Sometimes as a young person we feel like there's so much on us, and like in your mid 20s to early 20s, and whatever, youth is hard, being young is hard. But it kind of showed me that like the harshness of youth is also kind of like a blessing, because there's going to be a time when you wish you could maybe even have some hardness. There's going to be a time when you wish you were young again and could be able to do certain things. And I was like, here was I stressing out myself about things that was going on in my life, and like here's this man who is now elderly reminiscing about his youth, something that I now have. Then later that day, that same day, I went to the gym, and I was listening to music while I'm doing my workout, and I heard this vibration behind me. When I turn around, there's this old guy on the floor. So I'm looking around. No one seems to be, reacting to him. People are walking over him. So I thought, okay, maybe he's doing this weird exercise. Some people have their weird stuff going on. But then I realized he's foaming at the mouth a little bit. So I kneel down like, hey, sorry, okay? Then I realized he was like, yeah, like he couldn't really talk. He was like out of breath, like like I don't know if he hit his head. And then I was like, oh my gosh, he really hurt himself. So I called the gym people over, and they were helping him out. And when he started to come to, and he started to get recollect himself, and he realized they were taking him to the hospital, I'll never forget how uh embarrassed he looked. He was embarrassed. First of all, people had to help him up. He was embarrassed about that. People had to. He couldn't at the time. He couldn't remember his name. Some things like that. So I think he probably had hit his head, and he felt embarrassed about that. And most of all, when they told him we're going to take you to hospital, I remember he fought how he could. He was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And he says, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And basically, they against his will, because obviously in a situation like that they have to take him in. They can't just leave him there, because he could have probably hit his head. And but it just that was another experience in the same day that I was like, man, youth, health, little things that we take for granted when life and the struggles of life blind us to how precious these things are. And I'm just like, this man now, he probably feels terrible. He's feeling embarrassed that he had to fall like that. And he probably was a young strong man just like I am right now. Never thought he would be in a situation where people had to hold him up, and now he had to go for a situation where people are holding him up. But those two situations are with old men, but it also got me to thinking that there are people my age, there are people younger than me who can't move around. They can't they can't they have illnesses where they can't really live life, like experience life the way I'm experiencing it. And it just showed me that, like, it just, the lesson I got from it is just like, what your the table you've been dealt, or what life has dealt you, it's stressful. And it's not about denying that it's stressful, but always accept it with some grace, accept it with some acceptance, and be grateful for what you have, and be always be have a attitude of thankfulness about what you have. You know, things may not be going for you well right now, but at least you got the strength and a mind to tackle it. There are some folks, their mind is gone. They have given up. You know, there's people who have given up, and there's people who are elderly. You know, they simply cannot do the things that they did as a younger person. It's just a reality of life that we all will face eventually. And since those two experiences, and I would say this, and also try to have like a pocket in your mind. If this is the best way I could explain, have a pocket in your mind and keep these kind of things in your mind, so that when life gets stressful and when you feel like the world is against you and when you start wallowing in self-pity, you're able to pick from those things that you see. Like, I use those two examples of elderly men to for my fuel when I'm working out. Sometimes when I feel like, oh, I'm tired, I'm like, I'm not tired, you know, I'm a young man. Let me go the extra mile. When my struggles come to me, maybe financial struggles, or there's something going on, you know what? I always tell myself, well, you know what? I got health, I got strength, I got a chance, I have opportunities, you know, I can walk, you know, I can jump, I could do so little things like that. And it's very wild how little memories like that, and just reminding yourself of those little things, can actually give you the energy you need to then tackle your goals. And I realize when you try to attack your goals from a state of frustration, you actually make more, how do I say it? You make more problems, you make more mess. But when you tackle from your goals, you tackle those from a state of gratefulness, that at least you have a chance to actually tackle them. You know, you're less stressful about it, and you tend to get things done more. You tend to able to like set a goal and finish it. So just remember in your life, you know, every morning you could try to make this a practice every morning, and at the end of every day, every morning, give yourself three things you're grateful for. And at the end of the day, try to write down three things in that happen in that day that you could be grateful of. And see the results that it has for you.